Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and I'm not really sure what to talk about right now. I've talked about the weather.
Yeah, this is our second episode we're filming today,
Yeah.
so we know that the weather is pretty outside today, but
I'm anxious to go outside and see what happens.
It's kind of nice, but it's not going to stick around.
It's not going to stick around, but then you know what's going to be coming after that? Storms,
Yeah,
fall, spring storms.
right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I don't like it when it goes from like 0 to
Gives
like
me a
probably gonna be in
headache.
Yeah, it does.
I want to get one of those
Yeah.
humidity and barometer things like to keep at home
Yeah.
because I would like to do my own little science experiment of
Yeah.
like when I have a headache, like what the barometer is versus when I feel fine, what
I
the
wonder-
barometer is.
Yeah.
There's something to it. I know it.
I don't know.
Doug Mack could probably explain it to me.
I bet he could.
I bet he could too. I just
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't
anyway.
know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of, I don't know. I'm just ready for summertime. But I'm sad because my hot tub broke.
Yes. You still haven't bought a new one?
No, because the weather's been crappy.
Oh. You haven't
And
went
I
anywhere.
can't get there and haven't gone anywhere and haven't had time.
Yeah.
Seems like there's been something going on all
I
the
know,
time.
yes.
You know, what happened to like January when I was younger and bored out of my mind? Because to me, January went fast. Usually January's a month it's just like, it's never going to end. It's already over.
Yeah, it's the last week of January. I've seen people complain about how long January took for them. But
Not this year.
to me, it went fast. I mean, it was just like, boom, Christmas was over. And then I went on vacation for a week. That always makes your month fly by.
Right,
I
yeah.
was gone to Texas and then came back and you know, just, I don't know. Time goes by faster than it used to. And I know they say as you get older that happens, but even my kids talk about how fast time goes.
Yeah.
I never talked about that when I was a kid.
No, because I only had 3 channels.
Yeah.
No, kids even talk about how fast it goes.
I had cable when I was young until I moved to Horde, and then I only had 3 channels, and then I kind of got it what people were talking
You
about.
had cable, and then your parents took that away from you to move
Yes.
to Horde. Rude.
You want to talk about culture shock? Let me tell you about the year of 1992 when I moved from Harrisburg, which is not a huge town, but it is, what was it then, like 10,000 people? But it was a lot bigger than Horde. I had cable. I had Domino's Pizza on a regular basis. I mean,
Oh, man. Yeah, because Horde, did Horde have much? I mean,
well, we had the gas station, which we said that was Horde. So, like, you could be
Yeah,
living
'cause
in Horde. For
where's the
those that are
town?
watching this that aren't from this area, Horde city limits, if you can call it that, village limits, is very short and tiny. There's not a lot there. But
is
there
the
was
town
a
literally
gas
what
station.
you drive through?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And there was a gas station with like a little bit of a convenience store kind of thing in it, but not like today's scale of convenience stores. This was like a tiny little building. And that was called going to Horde. So like you could be living in Horde just a few doors down and you'd be like, hey, I'm going to Horde. And everyone would be like, okay, she's just going down to the station.
Oh, crap.
And I had a moped. And I still have it. It's in my garage. It was my grandpa Pete DeVore's moped that he owned in the 80s.
You never ride it.
I can't. There's a part that I can't seem to get for it. It needs.
Okay.
It's not running, and there's a
Crack
certain
up.
part, and they don't make it anymore. And I'd probably have to go to some like machinist and have them make it. I don't even know. But I used to ride it all the time in the 90s around Horde, and I would go like out in the country Horde, and I would go past Abby's grandparents' house and all around the whole neighborhood and
have a
to Horde
question
to get
about
gas.
Horde.
And I could fill up that moped for like 95 cents at the gas station.
Right, yeah. I remember I had my scooter. It was cheap, but I mean, you could fill it. I mean, I could put $2 of gas in my scooter and drive forever. But it was so scary because people aren't paying attention when they're driving anymore. Question about Horde. Okay, first of all, I got to ask, why did your parents leave Harrisburg and come to Horde?
Because my dad got a job. They were ready to be backed by family. See, they were originally from Clay County. They were ready to be backed by family, and my dad got a good job in Effingham.
So you went to Horde.
My mom got a job in Flora.
So Horde was
halfway, but at the time there was a little bit of a housing issue going on at the time, and houses were few and far between that were for sale.
Okay.
And they could not find a house that they both agreed on.
Okay.
and there was a house for rent in Horde that was just a few doors down from my mom's sister, Lori Van Dyke. And Lori said, well, since you haven't found one to buy, you could rent this one by me until you find one. And they were like, okay. So they did. They rented it for just a little bit, but then the seller wanted to sell it, and they bought it, fixed it up, put some money in it, put siding on it, made it super cute, and then they sold it and built a house at Flora.
My question.
That's how I ended up in Horde.
That's how you ended up in
For
Horde.
only 4 years, I did not stay.
For
Nothing against the people that are from there. If that's
We
your
love
home, that's
Horde.
fine.
We
That was
love
not
it.
my home.
But I need to know something. Tick Ridge,
Yes.
is that Horde?
No. I don't think so.
What is Tick Ridge? Is it a town?
I don't
is
think
it just like
It's farther away from Horde than what you think, really.
Do you know where it's at?
Yeah,
well,
I've
you
driven
didn't
through
take
there.
Me.
Okay.
My son Mac Earlywine was supposed to take me because they farm around that area apparently, but then he never did take me.
It has a bad.
I've always
it
heard of
has a-
Tick Ridge, but I don't know anything about it.
I think back in the day, it used to be like there were some rough people living there, and it kind of had a bad vibe. I don't think it's the same anymore. I mean, that Ridge Road has tons of nice houses on it. I think people.
So there's actually a Tick Ridge Road, or
It's just Ridge Road. But
Okay.
if you take it and turn and go right back out there, it takes you to Tick Ridge. But I don't know. It's not the same as it was years ago, and I don't want to offend anyone that lives in that
Right.
area.
I just never didn't know anything about
For a while,
that.
it was kind of a rough spot in Clay County, I think.
Yeah.
There was maybe like drug deals and things is what I'd always
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
But
Hey, I'm a South Ender. I understand. I understand. I'm a South Ender.
oh, funny.
Okay, so you remember I told you that I picked. Okay.
Yeah. What kind of ad do you
Well,
have
I
here?
picked another one from the '60s, and
Okay.
it's just so weird.
Slack Power.
Do you think he's the same guy that was in the ad I picked prior?
He kind of looks like him.
Are
Are you sure you're getting real ads? Because they have a bunch out there now that are fake.
I don't know, but I think it's hysterical.
Slack Power.
The Anti-Establishment Post-Grad Slacks by His. Our post-grad slacks have soul, and they they come in a mighty medley of plaids, stripes, checks, and solids. Press free, Talon zipper from $10.
Woo!
Slider higher in the West for the retailers. Right, His 16 East 34th Street, New York City. Available in Canada, boys sizes too. His shoes from $12. Look at these super cute shoes. I don't know. I just saw this ad and I'm like, look at those pants.
I know somebody that would wear those pants.
I think I know. I think I live with somebody.
I believe you do. That somebody I know is married to you. Jim Earlywine would wear those pants.
Oh, he totally would wear them.
Slack Power.
I need to see slack
Next
power.
time he walks by in some crazy suit, I'm going to go Slack Power.
That's Jim.
Love it. Slack
That
Power.
would be. I don't know. I just came across that, and I'm like, because I usually pull stuff from like 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, let's see what the 60s has.
Yes, there's.
And it is so fun to go through and see all the different.
For a second, I thought you were going to show me one of those fake ones. How
do you know if it's what?
You
what is
can kind
it?
of is because it's ridiculous, and you can kind of read what the written part is, and it's like kind of something that was a little too raunchy or something that wouldn't probably have actually ran.
What was that one ad I did?
Yeah,
Remember, and
But
I didn't even know it was bad.
there's a Facebook page devoted to these ads, and basically they take the images of old ads from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and then they change the words or they change a detail, and they make it seem. It looks legit, but it's not. And so anyway, I thought that's what that was going to be.
Well, I don't know. I
think yours was legit.
I go because sometimes I get them through magazines, and sometimes I just like Google ads. And,
Yeah.
and it's funny what comes up. And but yeah, that one. What was that one? And wasn't the lady kind of maybe naked?
Yeah.
What was that ad?
Yeah, that one could have possibly not been a real ad. This is this McCall's magazine. This is where we should. There's so many good ones in this
Oh,
McCall's.
yeah.
Like this one. It says donuts and digestion. Hearty, toothsome winter foods such as donuts, mince pies, and savory meat dishes can only be indulged in safely when your digestion is normal, when you are free from constipation.
Nice.
The gentle, sure remedy for constipation is New Whole. It will give you the healthiest habit in the world. Clockwork work bowel regulation. It will make you less susceptible to colds, grip, and the whole list of winter disorders that constipation invites.
Well, see, that's
New
the problem.
Hole
We're all just constipated.
will help you enjoy your favorite dishes safely. I think it's maybe I'm saying it right. It's Nujol. New Hole, which when you Abby, you might have to zoom in on this. New Hole is never sold in bulk.
It's never sold. You don't need it in bulk.
Since 75 cents, and we will ship to soldiers or sailors anywhere. It's at all drugstores.
I love it.
Or a new 9-ounce size will be sent on receipt of 50 cents.
And
then it says Standard Oil Company, New Jersey. Standard Oil Company is the one selling it.
Get out of town.
Yes, so we'll see if we can. Donuts and digestion. New Hole.
That's an interesting.
For constipation.
Huh.
This is a good one. And I just picked this up and just randomly opened a page. But I'm telling you, this whole book is full of stuff like this.
Now, what year is that?
1918. This is 1918.
Where did you find that one at? What happened to the front cover?
It's missing. It's
I know. It happens.
1918, but it's still in pretty darn good, thank you, Abby,
condition
for 1918.
Yeah.
There's so many. I'll have to start pulling some of these. Mm-hmm. Grape nut cereal was apparently a thing in 1918.
Really?
I did not know that, but they're advertising.
Huh.
Yep, it's a good
Cool
one.
beans.
Good one.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it. Hey, we need to take a break.
Okay, we'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back. Thank you.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. So I have an interesting little story today.
Well, what is it going to be about?
Well, I was given this newspaper that ran, it's called First Ladies, and it ran with the Clay County Advocate Press. It says the Daily Clay County Advocate Press presents First Ladies Profiles 1997. This ran in 97, but we're going to talk about some of the First Ladies of the United States, because after seeing the recent inauguration, it made me think about First Ladies, and I remembered that I'd been given this paper that somebody had saved. But what was interesting about this is that all of these stories about the First Ladies that I'm going to read to you were written by Clay County junior high students. Floyd Hinson Junior High School.
Really?
Students of Mitzi Goldstein.
I love Mitzi Goldstein. She was my 6th grade teacher.
I love Mitzi too.
She was awesome.
She was great. I went to church with Mitzi for a long time. So It says the following information was provided to the Advocate Press by the English composition classes of Mitzi Goldstein of the Floyd Hinson Junior High School. Also helping with the project was Alita Tackett, Bob Pearson, and Amy Hemphill.
Yep, that's family.
And so there's a whole bunch of students that wrote these, and I know most of them. They're, I think, all turning 40 this year. So when I read something about a First Lady, I'm going to tell you who wrote the article about them.
I love this.
And then you're going to be like, I know them. Or,
how fun.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And all of the First Ladies are in here up to Hillary Clinton, because, of course, this was done in 1997. Now, I'm probably not going to have time to go over all of these, but I'm going to hit some of the very first ones.
I want to do some old ones.
And some of them I thought were kind of, kind of funny what they picked to write about, because basically they just had to
So they
write
could
one.
pick any first lady they wanted.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if they got to pick it or if Mitzi assigned them.
Okay.
I mean, because I would bet they would all want the same ones that would be easy. Knowing
Right.
junior high kids, they'll be like, "I'll take Jackie O. She's easy."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
probably no one wanted to write about Dolly Madison because there was probably more research.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I love it.
But anyway, so they might have been assigned which one. I don't know. They might be able to chime in on this because I'm hoping some of them watch the show. So let's start with Martha Washington, shall we?
Let's do.
She was the wife of first President George Washington. This is written by Aaron Allen. Now, I don't know Aaron. That's one of the names I don't know, but maybe he moved away and doesn't live here. Martha Washington was born on a small plantation near Williamsburg, Virginia, on June the 2nd, 1731. Her maiden name was Martha Dandridge. She was the oldest daughter of John and Frances Dandridge. She married the wealthy Daniel Park Custis and had 2 babies. But the children and Daniel died in 1757. Now, did you know that?
I did not know that. See,
She
already
was-
learning.
She was married and had 2 kids, and they
Before.
all 3 died.
Wow.
Before she ever married George Washington.
Washington.
Yes, go ahead and
Wow,
show
you
that
can
one,
show
please.
the pictures.
Sorry.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so this is Martha as she's a little older. Okay, so then she married George Washington in 1759, and then she died on May 22nd of 1802 of, quote, severe fever. Martha and George Washington are both buried at Mount Vernon, their home, and she said in one of her surviving letters that the role of First Lady was one that she sure would have been enjoyed by younger, gayer women. She would have rather been at home. So she's saying this job could have really been enjoyed by somebody younger and happier.
Yeah.
But I just really wanted to be at home.
She's my spirit animal.
She's my kind of woman. Like, I'm sure somebody younger would have really enjoyed that.
But I just wanna watch
wanted
TV.
to be at home. I think the new episode of Ghost is coming on.
I love it.
Okay, thank you, Ty. That's funny. All right, we'll move on to Abigail Adams, the wife of second President John Adams.
Adams.
Now, this was written by Helen Allison.
Okay.
Helen Moore. How many of
Helen.
you know Helen?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So this is Helen wrote when she was in junior high. Abigail Smith was born in 1744 in Weymouth, Massachusetts. Growing up, she only lacked one thing in life, a formal education. Abigail was quite intelligent and she loved to read. She met a young man, John Adams, and became Abigail Adams in 1764. Their marriage lasted for more than half a century. Together they had 4 children, and although she lacked an education, she taught her 4 children. As wife of the first vice president, she became a good friend and big help to Mrs. Washington. Then, when John was elected president, she continued to help out around the White House. Both Adams retired in 1801 and were together for 17 more years. Abigail died in 1818 and was buried next to her husband in United First Parish Church. Okay, and there she is. And I'm just kind of admiring that lace scarf shoulder wrap thing.
Yeah.
Man, what a treasure that would be if that was still
Oh,
around.
can you imagine?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That is beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of her. Some of these early ones, I like.
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
Isn't it?
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Let's talk about Martha Jefferson next.
Martha Jefferson,
wife of third president.
I have a feeling she put up with a whole lot of stuff.
Thomas Jefferson. I would say that she did. He is my least favorite founding
He's my
father.
least favorite founding father. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, a lot of the things he did, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a good. Yeah.
Martha Wales Jefferson. This is, by the way, this is by Brandy Blackwell, which I think I might know her by a married name. I'm not sure. Martha Wales Jefferson was born in 1748. At the age of 22, Martha was already a widow. Family tradition says that she was beautiful with a slender figure, hazel eyes, and auburn hair. She married Thomas Jefferson on January the 1st of 1772. Their plantation home was built in the forest. The birth of their daughter Martha increased their happiness. Martha and Mary were the only 2 of their 6 children to live. Just after New Year's in 1781, a British invasion forced Martha to flee with a few weeks old baby who died in April. The following year in May, she had another daughter, but she never regained her strength. Martha Jefferson died on September the 6th, 1782.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, so they only had 2 kids that survived, Martha and Mary. Okay?
Okay.
So his daughter, Martha, went on to serve as the first lady. But I'm not sure who she was married to.
What is that?
Also, these were written by junior high kids, so that may not totally be
Legit.
I'm not sure about that. Okay. So let's talk Dolly Madison.
Let's do Dolly Madison.
Dolly Madison. Which did they name a bunch of cakes after her?
I think so.
I like cake. Okay, this is by Zach Buchanan.
Yeah.
Okay, we all know Chuck and Nancy, and this is Zach, his parents. Okay. Dolly Madison, wife of 4th President James Madison. Dolly Madison was born in Piedmont, North Carolina. John and Mary Coles Payne were her mother and father. They moved from Virginia to North Carolina. She married John Todd Jr. in 1790. 3 years later, he died in a yellow fever epidemic and left her with a small son. After that, she married James Madison of Virginia. They were married in September of 1794. Though childless throughout the marriage, they were notably happy. She always looked like a queen and behaved quite properly. She attended the first inaugural ball in Washington, and she is the one who saved the picture of Washington from the White House during the fire of 1812. James Madison died in 1836. She returned to the Capitol in the autumn of 1837, and she remained in Washington until her death in 1849. She was loved and honored by all. Yeah, she's very pretty. That is
that's a great portrait.
Yeah, very nice portrait. Yeah, she was very pretty, but it's sad that
she looks really young.
Yeah, I think this was when she was young, but she was never able to have children with with James Madison, but she did have that son from a prior marriage. So, like, who knew that she was on her second marriage? You don't think about.
Yeah, you don't.
But so many people died young. You know, it happened. Okay, Elizabeth Monroe. And this is by Rachel D. Denton. Rachel Walker.
Rachel Walker, yeah.
Rachel Walker now. So, Rachel wrote, James Monroe's... did I tell who wrote? Yeah, I did.
You did,
the last one. Okay. James Monroe's wife, Elizabeth Courtright Monroe, was an interesting individual. Born in 1768, Elizabeth was the daughter of an old New York family. Elizabeth married James Monroe in February of 1786, and they had 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 son. The son died in infancy. Her husband took the oath of office in 1817. As First Lady, she and her daughter Eliza changed many of the White House customs. In 1794, she saved Lafayette's wife in Paris, France. I don't know how. In 1830, she retired to Oak Hill, which was the home that James inherited from his deceased uncle. She died on September 23, 1830. A family tradition says that after her death, James burned every letter and document of their life together. So she died and he burnt everything.
Why?
I don't know. Why
did you do that?
Wonder why he did that. Was he mad at her?
So distraught?
Did he do it because of despair? Did he do it out of anger? Like, one of the phases of grief is anger.
Yeah.
Was he just so mad at her that she died?
Look at her outfit's cool.
Yeah, her outfit is cool.
Yeah, that's totally. I wish I could see what her hair.
Yeah, because
it's dark. Yeah,
yeah, it's dark. But I even checked. This is the same photo that I have over too. So, this is the 1820s. Like, okay, so James Monroe, he served 2 terms from 1817 to 1821, and then another one from 1821 to 1825. This isn't the 1920s. This is the 1820s. Mm-hmm. Now look at her hair and her headband, and what does it make you think of? The 1920s. Like everything comes back around, and it does since the beginning of time.
Yeah,
or the United States.
Like there's a beautiful brooch on the middle of her dress. Yeah, that's a neat picture.
That is a neat picture.
That's a neat picture, but I wish I could see what her. She probably she
and
probably had really black hair.
She kind of reminds me of somebody. Honestly, I can't quite put my finger on it, but she does.
I like that picture. That's cool. Neat.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Just tell me when we need to take a commercial.
I will.
Okay.
I'm watching. You got time.
Okay, this
One
is
more, then we'll take a break.
Oh, okay, this is Louisa Catherine Adams. She is the wife of the 6th president, John Quincy Adams, who served one term from 1825 to 1829. This was written by Michael Dickerson. Do you know Michael? He's married to Stephanie that works at Dairy Queen.
Yep.
Okay. Louisa Johnson was the only first lady born outside of the United States. Louisa was born in London in 1775. In 1801, Mrs. Adams came to the United States 4 years after she married John Quincy Adams.
Take a gander at this picture.
So she didn't even come over to the U.S.?
Look at that. Isn't
Oh,
that
my.
beautiful? Beautiful picture.
Yeah, this is like a wealthy woman from London. And
From
she
London, huh?
She did not even come over to the U.S. until 4 years after she married him. That's weird.
That's weird.
They had met in London in 1794 when she was 19 years old. They had 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. After coming to Washington, Louisa found that she liked her home there better than the one in New England. She suffered from deep depression, and while in the White House, she preferred quiet evenings. However, the social occasions she hosted were elegant. Louisa died in 1852, and she is buried beside the family church in Quincy, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Well, that's kind of sad.
I love that picture. That is a beautiful portrait.
Yeah, beautiful.
Are all these first ladies in the White House? I've never been to the White House. I'd like to. But are all the first ladies throughout the White House too?
I hope so. I don't know.
I hope so. Let's take a commercial break and we'll come back with this interesting story.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online bank, you just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County, Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about presidents, first wives, first ladies of, all of these stories I'm reading were written by Floyd Henson Junior High School students in 1997. So they're all adults now. I think they're probably right around 40 years old. Okay, so we just talked about Louisa Adams, who was married to John Quincy Adams. I'm going to talk next about Rachel Jackson. She was married to President Andrew Jackson, who served 2 terms in 1829 to 1833, and then again in 1833 to 1837. This was written by Larry Wayne Delaney. Wayne Delaney? Is that just Wayne? Is Wayne Delaney younger than me?
I don't know.
Wayne Delaney?
I'm not sure. That's not coming to me.
Rachel Donaldson Jackson was buried in a garden at the Hermitage, her home near Nashville, Tennessee, on Christmas Eve in 1828. Lines from her epitaph read, "A being so gentle and so virtuous, slander might wound, but could not dishonor." This reflected her husband's bitterness at campaign slurs that seemed to precipitate her death. Rachel was born in Virginia, and she went to Tennessee with her parents when she was 12. At 17, while living in Kentucky, she married Louis Robards, and they got a divorce in 1790.
Wow.
Jackson married her in 1791, just 1 year after her divorce. And after a happy 2 years, they found out Robards had not gotten the divorce. Dun,
Dun, dun, dun. That's a scandal.
She had 4 children when she entered the White House. Rachel Jackson had an interesting life and was an interesting first lady. Now, this woman might deserve her own episode.
I was going to say.
Okay, here she is.
Is she holding a rosary in her hand?
Yes,
like
she is.
She looks.
She got divorced in 1790, so
Wow.
that's record in Kentucky.
Huh.
Was she married to her cousin? We don't know. But I feel like there's more to this story.
Oh, yeah.
And so she definitely was an interesting lady. It's interesting that somehow Andrew Jackson came across her in Kentucky when she was just gotten divorced from this guy and was like, hey, here's a divorced woman with 4 kids in Kentucky. I think I'll marry her. I mean, that's just... I'm glad it worked out for him.
Well,
but apparently, like, she was a little bit scandalous if people were...
by her portrait, she's not like a drop-dead beauty.
But, you know, it says that Andrew Jackson had bitterness over people slurring her, you know. So there must have been...
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, that is a little crazy. You just don't think, you know, divorce in 1790 was very rare.
You would not do that.
And she would have had to had a really, really good cause, which was probably like domestic violence.
Yeah.
But then to come back 4 years later and find out that he never actually did it.
Domestic violence, I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I would think the president of the United States.
At that time, he divorced her. Supposedly divorced her.
I bet
I bet women didn't have the right to divorce their husbands.
Probably not. He probably divorced her.
I would imagine he probably had mistresses. And that's very interesting.
Okay, so Hannah Van Buren.
I want to hear her.
Hannah. You don't ever hear about Hannah, but man, is she a pretty one. Okay.
She's beautiful.
Hannah Van Buren, the wife of the 8th President Martin Van Buren, who served 1 term in 1837 to 1841. This was written by Callie Edelson. Hannah House Van Buren was born in 1783 and grew up in Kinderhook, New York. She married in 1807 and when she was 24 to Martin Van Buren. She bore 1 son while they lived in Kinderhook.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Later on, she moved to Hudson, where she bore 3 more sons, one of which died in infancy. Then, in January of 1817, she gave birth to her last son. In the winter of 1819, her health began to fail. So her baby was only 2 years old. Her health began to fail. Not yet 36. She died from tuberculosis on February the 5th, 1819. 18 years later, after Hannah's death, Martin Van Buren became president. While he was president, Angelica Singleton, his daughter-in-law and a relative of Dolly Madison, presided as the lady of the White House. So that is interesting. So his wife died before he was ever even elected. She'd been dead for 18 years before he was elected.
Wow.
But he had his daughter-in-law presided as the lady of the house. I mean, that because there's roles that they do, you know.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, is that him and that? Is she standing in front of like that concrete statue?
Is that like a bust of Martin Van Buren?
I don't know. I
don't know.
He's one that I can't picture.
But isn't she gorgeous? She looks like she should be a movie star.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna skip a little bit of the ones that have like a little bit more boring story, just because I know I'm not gonna get to them all.
Yeah, pick a good one.
Okay, we're going to talk about Letitia Tyler. She's the wife of the 10th President, John Tyler, 1841 to 1845. This was written by Nathan Gwynn.
Okay.
You know Nathan?
Yep.
Letitia Christian was born in 1790 on a Tidewater, Virginia plantation. Formal education was not part of her life, but she learned all of the skills of managing a plantation. On March 29, 1813, she married John Tyler on his 23rd birthday. When he attended Congress or worked as the governor of Virginia, she attended to domestic duties. Once she joined him for the winter social season in Washington. Of her 8 children, 7 survived. She became crippled 2 years before her husband became president. She did not take part as the White House hostess. These duties were turned over to her 24-year-old daughter-in-law, Priscilla. Letitia was the first president's wife to die in the White House on September the 10th of 1842.
Wow.
So she died in the White House and she was crippled.
So she's probably
very
the only
pretty.
one. I mean, she's the only one.
Is she? I don't know.
I mean,
It's-
I don't think any other.
They list her as the first one.
first
I'm
one. I don't
curious
know.
how many died there.
How many died?
How many
there?
are still there wandering the halls?
Oh, I bet lots.
Ooh.
I'm gonna Google that.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about Sarah Polk, the wife of 11th President James K. Polk, one term, 1845 to 1849. This is written by my friend Wendy Eigert.
Oh, I bet it's a good one.
Sarah Childress was born in Murfreesboro, Tennessee in 1803. She was the eldest daughter of Captain Joel Childress. Later, she met and married James Knox Polk on January the 1st of 1824. He was 28 and she was 20. During the period of time, a woman was most known through her children, but Sarah had no children. As a result of not having children, Sarah frequently, but secretively, helped her husband with his speeches and by giving him advice. When her husband, James Knox Polk, became president in 1845, she assumed her high role with comfort. 3 years after leaving the presidency, they moved into their new home, Polk Place, and James died. Sarah lived in that house for 42 years until dying at the age of 88 in 1891.
Wow.
So, okay, so there is Sarah. Sarah had no children, but she was highly intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
So she was the one helping her husband behind the scenes, whispering in his ear, guiding him, directing him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, way to go, Sarah. Way to make a difference.
So
And
three first ladies
good
have
job,
died in
Wendy.
the White House. Letitia Tyler died at 51. Caroline Harrison died of tuberculosis in 1892.
Okay.
And Ellen Axon Wilson died of Bright's disease in 1914.
Oh, my. So three different
Three of
ones.
them have, yeah.
Okay. That's sad.
That is crazy.
How many presidents have died in the White House?
I don't know. I'll Google that
Google
next.
that next. Let's see. Okay, this one's interesting. Margaret Taylor. She's the wife of the 12th president, Zachary Taylor, who served one term, 1849 to 1850, which is only 1 year because he died in office.
There we go. See, you just answered
Yep,
that one.
I did. Zach Taylor. Okay, this was written by Sarah Cletus. Margaret, or Peggy Smith, was born in Calvert County, Maryland on September the 21st of 1788. In 1809, while visiting a sister near Louisville, Kentucky, she met young Lieutenant Taylor. They were married on June the 21st of 1810, and for a time, Peggy stayed on a farm given to them by Zachary's father. While living on the farm, she had her first child. 2 small girls died in 1820, which left their mother's health impaired. 3 girls and boy grew up. Margaret was never happy with the rise in Taylor's political fortunes. It is said that she prayed for his defeat. Ooh. By the time they went to the White House, she was a semi-invalid and remained in seclusion on the second floor of the mansion. The duties of official hostess were fulfilled by her daughter, Mary Elizabeth Bliss. After her husband's death, her health failed rapidly, and she died in August of 1852, and she is buried next to her husband in Louisville, Kentucky.
Huh.
Wow. So
she looks like she had a hard one.
Yep, she had a hard life. She had some health issues. She prayed. She was an invalid. She prayed he wouldn't win. He did win. She stayed secluded on the second floor. I mean, there's a lot of people that had their daughter or daughter-in-law fulfill their duties as first lady. She's the third one.
Two presidents have died.
Taylor.
Yeah, and then William Henry Harrison died less than a month after he took office.
Yeah, I knew that he wasn't in there hardly at all.
So 2, yeah, just 2.
What did he die from?
Pneumonia.
Well, dang.
But
that's sad. Like,
so it's like the first lady just moves in and then she gets kicked out.
No kidding.
Yeah,
and he
Harrison
probably had the beginnings of pneumonia when he was sworn in.
Probably.
He's like, I'm getting sick.
3 weeks later, he died.
And what was his last words? Something about, I kind of heard
Gosh,
something.
what was these last words? Let me go ahead and keep going on.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So all of these have a little, I mean, these kids did a good job of finding something that was interesting about that person. Okay, we'll talk about Lucy Hayes. She's the wife of the 19th president, Rutherford B. Hayes, who served one term, 1877 to 1881. This is written by Danielle Zimmerman. Lucy Ware Webb Hayes was the wife of Rutherford B. Hayes and the 19th First Lady. Lucy was born on August the 28th of 1831 in Chillicothe, Ohio. On December 30th, 1852, she married Rutherford B. Hayes. Lucy was the first lady to have a college degree.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Rutherford and Lucy had 8 children, 3 of which died as babies. Lucy Webb Ware Hayes was given the nickname Mother Lucy by the men of the 23rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry. While Rutherford was in office, Lucy was very concerned with supporting the abolition of slavery, prohibition of alcohol, and aid to the poor. Lucy Hayes died on June the 25th, 1889, at the age of 57. So she was a great lady. She supported good things in politics and was well loved by all of the men in the Army, for sure.
I love that dress. Harrison's last words.
Yes.
Sir, I wish you to understand the true principles of government. I wish them carried out. I ask nothing more. At midnight on April 4th, without a groan or a struggle, he ceased to breathe.
Oh my! So let's talk. And that was Benjamin Harrison.
William Henry Harrison. William Henry Harrison.
I don't want to skip too far. I was going to skip to him, but some of these earlier ones
there's
are
another one
interesting.
there's another one. Let's do
Lucretia Garfield.
Yeah.
Wife of the 20th President, James A. Garfield, who served one term in 1881, and he died in office. Might not have died in the White House,
died, but
he died. This was written by Anthony Woolever, who we spoke to because he lives in the Victorian home in Flora that we did an episode on.
Yep.
Okay. James A. Garfield married Lucretia or Crete Rudolph on November the 11th of 1858 at the home of the bride's parents in Hiram, Ohio. She was born in Hiram, Ohio on April the 19th of 1832. She had 5 children, Harry, James, Mary, Irvin, and Abram Garfield. When Garfield was assassinated, that's right, he was shot.
Yeah.
He was killed. When Garfield was assassinated, she fled to England, and anonymity was eventually settled at Lawnfield, the estate Garfield had purchased at Mentor, Ohio. She lived on a $350,000 trust fund raised for her and the Garfield children by financier Cyrus Field. She spent winters at South Pasadena, California, where she died March the 14th of 1918. She was buried next to her husband at Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland. Okay.
Wow.
She looks like a nice lady, but again, kind of a hard life.
Yeah,
and
she looks like...
And I wonder, why did they hate Garfield so much?
I don't know.
That they killed him. I don't know.
No, we need to take a commercial break.
Okay.
And then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Pegel's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Pegel Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
Give me all your lumber. Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to, by the way, Beth and Stacey. So I think this is a fun episode.
This is a great episode.
We're talking about these first ladies, and then we're also talking about the people that wrote the stories
that's
in
fun.
1997 that were at the Floyd Henson Junior High.
Yeah.
Okay. there's a few on this page that I want to talk about.
Well, I like the fact we're doing ones that nobody knows. I mean, we don't really know.
Right. I've skipped over some of them. I mean, a lot of people know about Mary Todd Lincoln, blah, blah. I skipped over some of those things where, these are the lesser known.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about Edith Roosevelt. She is the wife of President Teddy Roosevelt, who served 2 terms, 1901 to 1905, and then 1905 to 1909. A lot of people talk about Teddy Roosevelt. A lot of people go on to talk about the other Roosevelts that we're going to talk about here in a minute, Franklin and Eleanor. But do you ever hear about Edith?
No.
This is Teddy Roosevelt's wife, Edith.
Nope.
You hear a lot about Eleanor, but not about Edith.
Nope.
Now, my daughter Malia has a cat named Teddy Roosevelt. She has another female cat. She should have named her Edith.
Ooh, look at that hat. Nice.
I like it.
I like it.
Okay, so Edith Caro was the wife of Theodore Roosevelt. She was born in Connecticut in 1861. She and Theodore were married in London in December of 1886. At their house on Sagamore Hill at Oyster Bay, they had 5 children in 10 years. A public tragedy brought her into the White House when McKinley was assassinated. Okay, that she followed up with the McKinleys were right before her.
Yeah.
And she tried to guard her family's privacy, but she couldn't hide them from the press. After Theodore Roosevelt died in 1919, she traveled abroad, but always returned to Sagamore Hill as her home. She was alone most of the time, but she didn't appear lonely. She died on September the 30th of 1948 at the age of 87. Now, this was written by Brock McKinnon. Now, Edith was, I think, an introvert maybe. She was alone a lot of the time, but she wasn't really lonely. I think she just preferred to be alone. She didn't want to be in the spotlight. She didn't want her kids in the spotlight.
Right.
But I think her husband, Teddy, I think he liked the spotlight.
I think Teddy liked the spotlight.
But don't you find that's the case a lot of the times that an extrovert marries an introvert?
I think so.
I think so, too. All right. This one is interesting. Helen Taft. She is the wife of the 27th President William H. Taft, who served 1 term, 1909 to 1913. This was written by Kenneth Marley. Helen, or Nellie Heron Taft, led quite an interesting life. She was born on June the 2nd of 1861 in Cincinnati, Ohio. After knowing William Howard Taft for 7 years, Helen got married to him on June the 19th of 1886 at the age of 25.
Oh, wow.
During the marriage, she and Taft had 3 children. They were Robert Alfonso Taft, Helen Heron Taft Manning, and Charles Phelps Taft II. Throughout the early part of their marriage, she was the one that encouraged him to enter politics. This is the part I found interesting. While in the White House, Helen Taft was responsible for the planting of 3,000 Japanese cherry trees.
Ooh.
And the Tafts also celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary there.
Nice.
Okay, so
look up at this hat.
Yeah, that hat reminds me of one I wore in the cemetery tour 1 year. And
that's great.
That's a great hat. So normal for that time period,
Well,
even
yeah.
with all the flowers on it. No, so all those Japanese cherry trees.
She did it.
Hello, thank you, Helen
you,
Taft,
Mrs. Taft.
Yeah, she who probably gets like no real credit for that.
Oh, don't do my Edith.
I am Edith Wilson. She has an awesome hat, and she's a super smiley person.
Yeah, she looks
We're gonna
like
talk
I'd
about
like her.
Edith Wilson. She was the wife of the 28th President Woodrow Wilson, who served 2 terms, 1913, 1917, and then 1917 to 1921. Okay. Edith Bowling, this is written by Brandy Lewis, by the way. Edith Bowling was born on October the 15th, 1872 in Wytheville, Virginia. Edith was a strong-minded, intelligent person.
Yes, she
you
was.
You can see this by looking at her picture, which you're going to see in a minute.
Yeah.
She was the widow of a Washington jeweler named Norman Galt. Here again, she's a widow.
I had no idea.
When she met Woodrow Wilson, she was attracted to him right away. His spouse, okay. I thought they were going to say his spouse was still alive. No, his spouse, Ellen Axon, had also died. So they were both widowers. She married Woodrow on December the 18th of 1915. Edith made the White House come alive again. She wore expensive French clothes and was the hostess of many parties. Her most important contribution came after President Wilson's stroke. She carefully screened all business and took only the most important matters to the bedridden president. Woodrow died in 1924. Edith lived to ride in the Kennedy inaugural parade. She died on December the 28th of 1961.
Look at her.
Look at her. Let's go ahead and see if you see another picture of her, Ty. She's laughing and wearing a hat.
Yeah.
See if you can find that one because it's
It's a
extraordinary.
great picture.
Great picture of
Yeah,
her.
she's wearing a hat and she's laughing.
So what I come away with from this little
I
thing,
like her.
She's an extrovert in the White House.
Uh-huh.
There had been nothing but introverts before her for quite a while. She's hosting parties. She's living the life.
That's a great picture.
She's wearing, that's what it's taken from. This is just,
look at that.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
How cute are they?
I think she might have just become my favorite first lady.
Yes, I really like her. Yeah, she was happy she wore expensive clothes. She basically kind of took over as president.
I think she took over.
He had a stroke, and she's like, I got this, America. I got it. And she handled things.
Yeah,
she handled things.
Yeah, I like her.
I like her, too.
You probably got time for one more.
Okay.
Pick a good one.
Oh,
pick a good one.
Something somebody doesn't know about. That one's kind of long. I'll skip that one. Let's just talk about Eleanor Roosevelt because a lot of people know Eleanor.
Everybody loves Eleanor.
I read her biography and it was worth it. If you haven't read it, you should.
I have not read it. Is it good?
Yes. Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of the 32nd President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who served 4 terms. I think this was the reason that there was a law made that you could only serve 2, but I'm not sure.
I remember reading about this.
He started in 1933, and then he died in office in 1945. But all through there, he served.
Yeah.
Okay. Anna Eleanor Roosevelt was probably this country's most active first lady. She was born on October the 11th of 1884 and was a niece of President Teddy Roosevelt. Anna married Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1905, and they had 6 children together, but one died in infancy. When Franklin got polio, Eleanor became active in politics. She became a voice on the subjects of youth employment. She put an end to child labor laws in this country, okay?
She did, yeah.
And civil rights for blacks and women. Eleanor conducted press conferences and even had her own newspaper column called My Day. After Franklin's death, she also served as a U.S. delegate of the United Nations and helped draft the UN Declaration of Human Rights. Eleanor also wrote many books about herself. Anna Eleanor Roosevelt died on November the 7th, 1962, as one of America's greatest reforming leaders. And that is true. I really encourage you to read one of her books. I think there's an autobiography, a biography, but she had a fascinating life and she did a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
She was, and I watched a movie the other day and she was in it. Have you seen that movie? Crap, I'm going to forget the name of it, but it's about the women in World War II, the black women that were the postal workers. Google that, Ty. It's a movie that just came out on Netflix about U.S. postal worker, the women. It was like the 888 or something. Anyway, Eleanor Roosevelt, there's a woman that played it in that movie, and she actually looked like the real Eleanor Roosevelt, and it is based on a true story. I'm not telling you about a fictional movie. This whole story was based on a true story. And anyway, she helped these. The 6888 is the name of the movie. It's on Netflix.
It's good?
I highly recommend it. It's awesome. It's okay for any age. There was nothing dirty in it. And
The 6888?
The 6888, and it's based on a true story of black women soldiers in World War II. And it's fascinating. Anyway, Eleanor Roosevelt helps a grieving mother. Not really grieving, but a distraught mother.
When you talk first ladies. I mean, she's so Jackie Kennedy, Eleanor Roosevelt. I think Eleanor Roosevelt comes up almost before any of them does.
Yep. Let's see. Somebody that we don't know a lot about. I'll pick this one because I always hear her name, but I really don't know a lot about her. Do I have time?
You got time.
This is Claudia Lady Bird Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the wife of the 36th President Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yep.
She's 2 terms, 1863 to 1869. Leslie Gill wrote this. Claudia Alta Taylor Johnson was born on December the 22nd, 1912 at Karnak, Texas. She is the daughter of Thomas Jefferson Taylor and Minnie Patillo Taylor. She got her nickname from a nursemaid who said that she was purty as a lady bird. See, I always thought that Lady Bird was her real name. I really
Lady
thought
Bird.
that.
I didn't realize that either.
It wasn't. That makes more sense. Okay.
Oh,
in
that's a pretty
1934, she graduated from the University of Texas, and after she returned home, she met Lyndon B. Johnson. Very soon afterward, he asked her to marry him. They were married on November the 17th, 1934. She traveled many miles promoting a campaign to improve the landscape of America. She also promoted the administration's war on poverty, even though she was not very active in this area. She retired with her husband around 1968 to the LBJ Ranch in Austin. President Johnson died in 1973, but she still remained active at the ranch. In 1983, she founded the National Wildflower Research Center. Then in 1988, she moved to her present home in Austin. So at the time this was written, I believe she was still alive. But I don't believe she is now.
No.
So
that's a pretty picture.
Yeah, that's a very pretty picture.
I like that picture.
I'd like to know more about her wildflower research center.
I would like to know more about her. Period. You don't really. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of Lady Bird. I don't think I ever did. Yeah, pretty good. That's an interesting.
Okay. Do I need to stop, or I got room for one more?
No,
I'm
you're
done. Okay. Well, maybe sometime we'll pull that out again. But
that's a fun.
And I want to say kudos to that junior high team, Mitzi Goldstein and her helpers that pulled that off, because you were listening but not reading, but those were very well written. All of the punctuation, everything was correct. You can tell they proofread it, and it was very well done. Good job, kiddos.
That was
who are now 40.
Yeah, they did really well on that.
Yeah. Yep. Very good.
Okay.
We're going to end with something crazy.
From elegant first ladies of the United States to deep thoughts with Jackie.
All right, deep thoughts. What do we got?
If I could be a bird, I think I'd be a penguin, because then I could walk around on 2 feet with a lot of other guys like me.
I actually kind of like that one. I mean, that one sort of made more sense than the other ones. He used a little bit of logic there.
He did use a little bit of logic.
All right, good job. Deep thoughts, Jack
deep
Andy.
thoughts.
So,
yeah, that was fun. That was good.
It was a good episode.
I liked that. I learned a lot. There's things
me too.
I didn't know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was national history with a twist of local history thrown in.
Yeah.
I hope some of those names that wrote those, I hope they get to see this
I
episode.
think that'd be something nice for them to do now.
I know. Let's make it a challenge. I challenge the junior high teachers or high school.
That's neat.
To have a group of kids write about the first ladies, and then ask Smitty at the paper if he would publish something like this too. And I also want to say this whole paper was full of ads.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of these people. I mean, we could do an episode on these businesses.
Yeah.
Wereco, not there anymore. Summers Kistler Funeral Homes, not there.
Yeah, there'd be a Pizza Pit. Unfortunately, not there.
Yeah, some of them are.
Village of Xenia,
Calvin
Clay County Health Department.
Atterbury's Radio and Television, not there.
Truth and Treasures, what's that?
Truth and Treasures, Christian Books and Gifts. Remember that? It was downtown for just a hot minute.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Anyway, great episode. Thank you for joining us. If you want, follow us on Facebook, by the way, Beth and Stacey, and we're always on YouTube. You can find us there too. So we'll catch you next time.
God bless you and have a great day.